Hello there. Back in the day, during the time of the Rebel Alliance and during the time of the Galactic Civil War, there was a very special ship. A ship that was so powerful and that was so utilized by the Rebel Alliance and the Alliance fleet that it practically kept the entirety of the Rebel Alliance and a majority of their leaders alive for quite a long time throughout the entirety of the Galactic Civil War and even beforehand. So today we are going to be talking about this special ship, and that, of course, being the Nebulon B Escort Frigate, and why it was so important to the Rebel Alliance and why it was so properly utilized. So, without further ado, here we go. But first, as always, we have to start with a little bit of a breakdown. The EF 76 Nebulon B Escort Frigate was originally developed by manufacturing corporation Quat Drive Yards as part of the Nebulon series for the Galactic Empire. Costing 8.5 million credits, the ship was 300 meters in length, had 7 Galaxy 15 ion engines, a Class 2 hyperdrive generators, power cells, Delphis JC 671 deflector shield generators, Serage Seal shielding systems, titanium reinforced alloys, long range sensors, and forward sensor arrays, as well as turbo lasers, laser cannons, tractor beam projectors, and of course missile launchers, with a complement of 2 squadrons of fighters, several shuttles, and 1 docking bay, with at least 920 to 850 crew members, with 77 officers, 773 enlisted crew, and 80 medical personnel, with 700 passengers being able to be aboard, with most of them being, of course, medical patients, and enough consumables to have recycled drinking water and a communication system which relied on a long-range multi-frequency communications array and a short-range communications array. All in the meanwhile being served as an anti-starfighter ship, a bombardment ship, a combat mission ship, a carrier, escort frigate, long-range scout ship, a search and rescue ship, a medical frigate, and at most points, an actual headquarters for the Rebel Alliance and for the Alliance Navy. And the Nebulon B Escort Frigate has been along for the ride for a long time, being utilized by the Galactic Empire, Birch Teller's Rebel Cell, the Alliance to Restore the Republic, the New Republic, the Junta Security System, and the civilian fleet being introduced during to or prior to 14 BBY. Now, originally, the Nebulon B Escort Frigate was supposed to be utilized as an Imperial ship, an Imperial vessel that would be utilized throughout the entirety of the galaxy under the rule of the Empire, but as many of the old things go, they decided to create the Imperial-class Star Destroyers instead, and they didn't really utilize anything having to do with the Nebulon B Escort Frigate, and instead pushed them to the side to make room for the Imperial-class Star Destroyers. This, in turn, gave the Alliance the ability to just swoop right in, take all of the Nebulon B medical frigates or escort frigates that they wanted to, and effectively use them for their own means. Now, when it comes to the Nebulon B Escort Frigate itself, it does have kind of a murked history between Legends continuity and Disney continuity. In Disney continuity, it was introduced at about 14 BBY and was not seen in the Clone Wars. Meanwhile, in Legends continuity, it was seen in the Clone Wars and introduced sometime late before the Rise of the Empire, and it was mainly supposed to be used as the main ship for the Galactic Empire, but they didn't want to use it for the Galactic Empire because that would mean that the Imperial-class Star Destroyers would be put on escort duty, and nobody wants to see an escort of an Imperial-class Star Destroyer basically be escorting ships around as if they were bodyguards. So, of course, the Nebulon B Medical Frigate and the Nebulon B Escort Frigate were not utilized for the Galactic Empire, but were used by some smaller security groups for the Galactic Empire during the time of Legends continuity, and many of them fought against many other Nebulon B Escort Frigates that were utilized by the Rebel Alliance and the Alliance fleet. So there were a lot of battles between Nebulon B frigates during the time of the Galactic Civil War. But the main thing that the Nebulon B escort frigates were mainly used for during the time of the Galactic Civil War and just immediately beforehand were mobile bases for the Rebel Alliance and many of their leaders. They were equipped with sophisticated scanners and deep space antenna arrays and reliable long-range communications devices, making them perform exceptionally well as command centers during space battles and most planetary assaults. Due to the fact that they were also originally designed by Quat Drive Yards, as affordable anti-starfighter escort frigates for the Empire. Their modular nature made them extremely adaptable and made them highly modular, which gave the Rebel Alliance more than enough advantages to basically retrofit them for whatever needs necessary, which included being mobile command centers and also, on top of that, being medical centers, hence the reason why many of the Nebulon B frigates were called medical frigates. And along with the self-sufficiency of the escort frigates being so great that they had enough consumables for 700 people over the course of 2 years, and they had multiple docking ports for smaller freighters and starfighters, and even tractor beams for rescue and capture operations, they were effective support hubs for literally the entirety of the Rebel Alliance, and the only thing that would outdo the Nebulon B escort frigates would be the Mon Calamari cruisers, which we will be talking about next week. And of course, there were also several leaders that were responsible for acquiring the Nebulon B escort frigates, and one of them was Bail Organa, who was instrumental in the Rebel Alliance acquiring and utilizing the EF-76 Nebulon B escort frigate, specifically his own, that of course being the Resurgence, which was utilized by the Alderaanian resistance forces before the actual founding of the Rebel Alliance and before the time of the Galactic Civil War. And of course, Bail Organa was able to do this because of, well, funding. He was the Prince Consort of Alderaan, and he had access to significant financial resources, which likely helped fund acquisition, modification, and maintenance for all these ships, and throughout the various rebel cells that he secretly coordinated with, along with his intelligence network, going through the layers and actually stealing from Imperial dockyards, convincing sympathetic captains to join the Alliance and actually steal Nebulon B escort frigates, and actually have defense forces with rebel sympathies turn over their escort frigates to the Organas and to the Alderaanian defense forces so they could utilize them against the Empire. But either way, with all of that, that is the Nebulon B escort frigate, and next week we will be talking about the Mon Calamari cruiser, so I hope you guys are excited for that. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, do whatever it is that you need to do, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a wonderful new year, and may the Force be with you.